Hey guys, I'm ChezPride and welcome to this video. I am doing the one solid color challenge build thing. I don't know, I saw James Turner, or the Sims Fly do it, aka James Turner, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh man, that is the perfect challenge for me, because every time I make a sim, or I make a house, it always has like a color scheme. It's always like, normally one color, but sometimes two. And so I thought, hey, this challenge should actually be really good for me to do, because I thought I would do really well at it. And I actually feel quite proud of this build. So I did go with the color green, because one, the house that I'm building is actually inspired from another house, which is what that I saw in real life, which is why I am putting it under Aspire Builds. And if you don't know, Aspire Builds is a little series I do where like I just said, base a build a house from either a house I've seen in real life or the house I found on the internet, and I take it from that one angle and then I kind of build it off my own. And I was not sure how I plan on doing this house because I haven't done an Inspired builds in a really long time, because I keep like seeing houses I want to do and then I can't take a picture of them, and in the past I've always had a picture of them, but this house was so simple I didn't feel like I really needed a picture. But like, for example, this house was on the side of a highway where in a town 45 minutes away where they were doing construction. I didn't really feel like it would be appropriate for me to pull over and then take a picture of this house. So I just kind of memorized what it looked like. So it is kind of just like inspired. The only thing different about the outside really is, one, I end up putting more plant life than I don't put much plant life, but I end up putting more, and the boards are going up and down instead of side to side. But that is like literally the only difference. And the front door probably wasn't as grand, but you know, it's fine. And then the second reason I decided to go with green is because I knew there was a lot of green stuff in the Sims game, and the rules specifically say, well, the rules are at the very beginning of the challenge if you really want to read exactly what the rules said. But basically, all the items you use must be at least 60% of the color that you chose, which aka is just like over half of the item. And then it also says that if there's not an appliance in that color, you just can't have it in that house. And I really didn't want to like be without a toilet or be without a refrigerator, and yeah, so I decided green because I feel like there's a lot of green stuff in The Sims, and plus you can't use custom content. Not that I really use custom content anyways. I have like one mod, but the rules do say you can't use custom content on your own creativity. And like with this wallpaper right here, that was under the green category, and when it was like down there, it looked a little bit more green than it does now. It still looks green right now, but like in the thumbnails, I feel like compared to all the other colors of green, because like we end up changing the wallpaper on the kitchen as well and dividing it up into separate rooms and using a wallpaper that matches the counters a little bit more. So I feel like it doesn't look as green as everything else, but it's still technically under the green category. So some things may be a little bit of a stretch, but I tried my best to stick to the rules. So yeah, that's that green wallpaper I was talking about right there. So the dining room is actually probably my favorite part of the house, because I've never done a dining room like this. It's literally just a small tucked away area right beside the kitchen, but it ends up being like the main centerpiece. And I really like the tables turned, because I feel like if the Sims really needed to, they could get past that, and it would be easier for them to sit down and it won't like get them stuck. And I do end up doing the wallpapers all over the house, so that's just kind of how I build. And I did decide to split these rooms off because since we just got new laundry and stuff back, I wanted to do a laundry room, because I haven't done a house with a laundry room in it yet, because I don't really like playing with laundry, so all my houses that I have, I didn't want laundry in necessarily, so that's why that's like that. But here I am dividing at least one room off. I don't know if I divide the next room off yet, but I decided I wanted to do like a little storage room into the bar area, which leads right into the kitchen, because they didn't have any archways that were green. When I first started building, I wanted to do archways everywhere, and then they just didn't have any that were green. That's like the main problem I ran into, that I just couldn't have, because they didn't have any, or archways. So that's why I end up doing like just the pillars, which actually turn out to my advantage, because it makes the aesthetic that I decided to go with, which is like this house was really old and had some really old stuff in it, and then someone took it over time and built it up and redid it and kind of turned it into their own walls, like own home, which is why like they have the half walls there with the pillars sticking out, because those used to be full walls, but decided they wanted to have a more open layout, and it just works out really nicely for the style of this home as well. Rugs though were my biggest challenge in this build. I will go ahead and say it, like that rug, like, okay, as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, that has to be somewhere in this build, because I've never actually used that. I've always wanted to use that, but other than that, just like rugs were just a struggle. Like, I couldn't figure out rugs to save my life. That rug in my room though, I end up being very thankful for later, so when I get into making the kitchen, I'll explain why. But here I decided, like, I kind of wanted like a grill area, but they didn't have a grill that works, so later on I do end up putting 2 stoves in to kind of substitute for that. But I end up making the kitchen the very last, so because I was working on that, I just got frustrated that I couldn't get a stove, so I decided to just move on. Right here is my favorite thing that also adds to the aesthetic of that it was an older home and then they rebuilt it into something newer, is having the pipes on the wall, like the indoor piping. So I think it adds quirks to the home, and I really enjoy that. Now, the bar things I just put behind is probably my main item that I stretched the rules with. I know you can't see it now, but I just had quickly put a bar item that had all the drinks on it, and I don't know if you would consider that 60% of the color because of the blue behind it, but I do end up putting some teal in this build, and this is also where I'm decided to divide that off completely by itself. And I feel like that blue is kind of a teal, but mainly my thing being like the whole rods, like all the outside layers were green and they matched. So I was like, I was gonna let that one slide. Now the bedroom ends up being like a really interesting setup actually, because I felt like the bedroom was too big, so I ended up having to section it off, but I couldn't find like the room dividers because I suck and I don't know where anything is. I guess I technically could have looked it up, but I never think to use the search bar. Now I did want this room to be, or not this room, but this build to be modern, but I wanted to have that old-timey vibe, like I said, because they like kind of rebuilt it into their own thing. So that's why the bed looks kind of old, like the bed and the vanity is kind of old, but like the stuff around it is modern. And I feel like the house kind of goes from being kind of not modern, and, like on this side, and then the more you go over, the more modern it gets. But that's mainly because when I get to the living room, I couldn't really stick with the fancy theme just because of certain things, and we'll get into that. The paintings were also something I struggled with a lot. Like, a lot of times I'll be looking for a painting and I just give up like I just did. But I really wanted to have that vanity ready because the room is so big. I wanted them to have like a sleeping area and then like a getting ready area as well. And this is, I was trying to find a room rug at this moment to kind of divide up the room more, and then I couldn't find a rug that worked. So that's why I decided I needed a room divider. But a lot of times I'll get frustrated with stuff and end up just going back to it. Now when it comes to stuff with glass, I consider green the majority of the color because glass is clear, so I don't really consider that a color. That's like with the shower, like is the majority is green because the rest is glass. Same with the mirror. Because like, you know, grass isn't really that much of a color. And I actually, after I built this, I didn't watch Deliriouslys until after I built it, and she kind of went with the same thing. So I was glad I wasn't the only one. I actually really like the way I did the rugs here. It looks odd, but I ended up putting a circle rug in, and it makes it look okay. It gives it a very quirky, interesting vibe, and I actually really enjoy it as well. And I do repeat a couple of paintings in here, but that's because there's not a lot of paintings that have green as the majority of the color, so sorry if that bothers you, but I really had to repeat paintings for me to have paintings on the walls. And like I said, I was doing that, and it kind of centers the not wastebasket, but laundry basket, and I actually really like that. Let's see. Oh, and here I repeat the same painting like 6 times in a row. I couldn't find anything that actually was a majority of green that fit that thing. I tried to make it interesting, like kind of like change the green tones, but that didn't work. So I just ended up putting the same painting. So maybe it was like paintings they brought from their nursery they wanted to have memorized, but they didn't want to have that out in public because it was so childish. Bookshelves. I changed the bookshelves like 3 or 4 times in this build because the living room, it ends up being, I was going for the themes like of that bookshelf, like that's kind of the look I wanted to go for. And then I went to have the TV, and there was no green TV except the penguin TV. And that just wasn't going to work with the vibes. So I ended up making this room like the entertainment room. Like I said, I wanted these people to like entertain, so I made it very modern and very like kind of gaming themed. Like it kind of gives like a gaming vibe. So I actually really like that. It's a lot different from the rest of the house, but it works as an entertainment area, especially with the bar right in the background of it. I feel like it works out really well. And with this rug and all its quirks, it kind of like, I kind of go with the rug, like line everything up with the rug, and it turns out really nice. And I figure with that huge like wall sculpture on that, it kind of works with that as well. Plus it gave me an excuse to put some Simpla Bob gaming posters in the background, so I really liked that. I just sized those up with the bracket key, I think. Yeah, bracket key. And that's the bookshelf I ended up going with. I know that's the kids' bookshelf, but it works, and I just did Alt 9 to move a plant up on top of that bookshelf. Now the glass doors, there's actually a lot of glass doors in this build. I think this is where I'm finally doing the room divider, by the way. I normally don't do glass doors, especially into the bedroom, but because I am doing this divider, I feel like it worked a little bit. And I figured since this is like a getting ready area, it has a vanity, mirrors, having mirrors lined up next to each other actually worked out kind of perfectly. And it's like they made their own room divider, which I thought was a really cool concept. And then I ended up putting more Simpla Bobs right there because we had them in the living room, so I figured it matched there. And I'm having a lot of those wall sculptures on the walls. I have 3 of the little ones and the big one in the living room as well. And now moving on to the outside. Since this is a inspired build, and when I did the build, or when I saw the house, there wasn't like really any green. There wasn't really anything in the yard, so I wanted to kind of reflect that. I wanted to do some outdoor items for the build just because I want trees in the build. So I just kind of did like a little area where they could play basketball and just sit there and feed the birds and just enjoy nature. But I figured the sim that I had in my mind living here was, like I said, more of an entertainer, and they would have spent more time inside, especially since they worked so hard on the inside of the house compared to the outside of the house. And I actually ended up putting all of that on the side of the house. And there just ends up being like nothing in the backyard. They just have a little side yard, which works. It works for me. It's fine. Because they, like I said, they probably don't spend that much time outdoors. But they did want to have a little area outdoor that looked nice. And I probably could have put a grill out here, but I decided not to because I just wanted to have a little sitting area. And this is the point that I started to realize, well, I'm actually, no, it's not. I tried to put like a little gateway out here, a little archway, but I couldn't find one that was majority green because all the, I think, because it said that the landscaping didn't really count as well as flowers, but I still, like, if it was going to be an archway, I want it to be the majority green, and then the flowers just kept getting in the way of that. So this is the point that I realized I forgot the kitchen. And this is where that rug ties in. Because I was trying to avoid teal through a lot of the build. There are some items that are teal, like the washer and stuff. But there's literally nothing kitchen appliance-wise that was green. It was all teal. And you can't make teal without green, and it was under the green category, so I kind of let it slide, but I was so glad I tied that rug in right there, because it really makes it work. There are already items around the house that has little splashes of teal in it, but since that rug is there right in the dining room, it really tied the rug, or the rug and the appliances in together, so it didn't look as odd as well. I almost forgot a trash can, but I didn't do it. I didn't pull a sim supply and forget the trash can. And yeah, so I do end up changing the fridge out. I did switch it over because it looked better that way. I changed the fridge out to the one with the white around it. It's still like 60% white, or 60% teal, so it works out, but I just couldn't stand the way the back of that looks. But anyways, guys, we're actually coming towards the end of this build. I know that everyone else like built it live, but it took me 2 hours to build this, so I figured I'd rather do a voiceover on it because it takes me so long to build. So I hope you don't mind that. And there are screenshots coming up. I do not own the music, as always. If you don't like the music, you can always turn it off, but it's actually a little bit different than what I normally play, so I hope you like it. I actually discovered it through another YouTuber's video, and I just like went to the music that they linked in the description. Of course, I will link not only the rules for this challenge, by the way, this challenge was made by Golden Simmer, so go look up his YouTube channel, and I will also link the music. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and do all that awesome stuff, because you guys are awesome people, and I really appreciate you guys watching my build. Alright, bye!